You're listening to the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, episode 6.
On today's episode, we're joined by Doug. We talk about this week in music, state of the nation, and spend time chatting with Doug.
So sit back and chill with friends. You're listening to The After Show with the SojuTalk Nation. Welcome to the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, a chill discussion on this week in the SojuTalk Nation. I'm your host, Crispy, and joining me as always is Koala.
Hello.
And today, welcoming to the show, a very special guest, the captain of the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast main show. We have Doug. Welcome, Doug.
I don't know.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
I tried.
I'm gonna be real honest. They straight up just recorded the intro before they started this. When my name in the intro, I was about to talk, but I didn't.
No, you
So
good?
That's what happened. That's what happened.
Oh, let's go. Oh man, so that's what this kind of show. That's what this show will be today. This will be kind of a Doug YOLO. Let's go. Kind of we'll see where it goes, but this is a good start so far. Doug, how are
It
you?
will be fun.
How are you today, Doug?
All right, I don't know what So I slept well for once, right? For some reason there's a correlation between watching anime and sleeping well for me right now. I don't know why that is, but we slept well. It's in the morning, which we never record in the morning. I kind of like this though. I might say it to Warren and Anita at some point.
Yeah, it's like a morning radio show. Just wake up and record.
Yeah, the energy levels are good. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. All right, so before we get into our main discussion today, we'll do some housekeeping. Announcement number 1 is we have Doug today. A lot of fun things we'll be talking about, so just teasing that ahead of time. Celebrating the nation. We don't have any birthdays this week, but we're looking forward to March and all the birthdays coming around and St. Patrick's Day, because that is a time to celebrate with friends with beverages. So,
Oh yeah, you do that. We don't do that here.
that's right. You Germans. Well, you guys drink all the time, so it doesn't really matter when.
Wunderbar, yes.
Yes. Well, any announcements from you guys? Anything special you guys want to celebrate before we get started on the show?
I mean, it was Lunar New Year this past week, bow to your relatives, get some money. I see you, cash flow.
Yeah. Red envelopes.
That had big implications on the show this week, obviously, right? Because it's one of the few weeks of the year in K-pop when there's nothing going on, right? Because you got to think, we normally cover 4 songs plus, right? We only had 2. And then it was real struggle city to get news articles this week. Big struggle. But, Lunar New Year, it's fun. It is what it is. Let's go.
Yeah, you get to hang out with family, celebrate for a little bit. So not too bad. Qual, did you do anything special for the Lunar New Year?
Just did not meet as many family members as we used to, because Germany is still pretty strict on the pandemic.
Yeah, it's tough still, but hopefully next year will be better. Hopefully more red envelopes, and get that money. All right, so jumping right in to this week in SojuTalk Music, we have 2 songs this week. We have Chung Ha with Bicycle. This is her release for her full-length album. And then we have Soyu X Eyes1 featuring PH1. And that was a CF for Pepsi. That is all I will say about that one, because I've got some thoughts about that one, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So we have those 2 songs. We have Doug here, so we're gonna start with you. What were your takes about how it all went down on the show?
All right. Obviously, the elephant in the room, the monkey in the room, is how much Warren's been pro Chung Ha, the last 2 releases, right? That's I still don't understand what goes through the kid's head when he's evaluating these songs. I'm very confused in terms of just consistency. Now, as if you listen to the main show, he's really hype on Bicycle. He called it, I believe, the best release out of all of the songs from this album. It's not
Holy cow.
it's not Quinceañera, it's Querencia, but we're gonna say it like a New Jersey person. It's Querencia, yes.
Querencia.
Querencia album. I think that is some like you're doing a real stretch there. I'm talking mental gymnastics stretching, right? With that one. Because you gotta think this album was pretty much released over 11 months, right? Everyone has Stay Tonight, Play, Dream of You, X, and then now we have Bicycle. Like, at best, I could say this is like middle 50%. Like, that's me being generous too.
Yeah,
But-
I actually do feel the same way. I do like the other songs that she put out first. The two pre-releases. Stay Tonight was probably my favorite, and then the song she did with Rehab. That was like,
Oh god, that was so good.
it's like two like club bangers where it's like you really get that club vibe, but then at the same time it's still pretty like K-pop friendly, right? With just like the dancing presentation and just like the hype. Doug brings up a really interesting point about this song being released over 11 months essentially. Do you feel like this pre-release approach worked and lived up to the hype?
I wouldn't say that it worked. So pre-releases are a weird thing in general. It's pretty risky to do them because there's a chance that people might like the previous release more than the actual title track. But she put out like, how many pre-releases were there? 4? 5? 5. So it was pretty risky to do that. And now I myself don't really like Bicycle. Like, I don't know why. Just not my vibe. I've seen people on the server who like it, but I think the overall opinion is also like it's not the best. So the other pre-releases were better than the actual title track for the album now.
Yeah, I mean, at first when I watched the music video and listened to the song, I loved it because it's Chung Ha and she's doing Chung Ha things, and I'm a
Oh my
Sif.
god.
But having listened to the entire album the past 2 days, it's definitely divided in different sections. So it's like like A side, B side, C side, D side, and then each of them have like the pre-release sections, but they're all like themed to a certain like music style. And I would say A side with Bicycle is the weakest of the 4. So like just like being around the music and like trying to absorb it, it does kind of fall a little flat compared to the rest of the album and the rest of the songs. And I mean, it was a bold attempt, right, to have her music stretch over this amount of months. But Doug, just seeing like her approach and just what Chung Ha is capable of doing, do you feel like this puts her back into like the realm of like top soloist during her Gotta Go 2019 run? And what do you think is next for Chung Ha after this?
Okay, so that's difficult to quantify, right? Because like the female solo game is really strange because no one has great album sales, right? If we remember last year, Moonbyul was in first place and she barely scratched over 100, so she had 116,000 album sales, right? Chung Ha's album so far, with I think this is day 3, only sold 11,000 copies, right? For something that's been essentially being hyped up for 11 months, I feel like 11,000 is a low number. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a great number. It just feels like it got dragged so long, right? And some of the songs were so good that like what could you have released in this title track spot to be like, oh, this is it, right? Come buy this album now. I just don't know. And in terms of what she's doing next, I do think she's incredibly top tier in girl group soloists. She's like, okay, so who's at the top, right? It's like her, Hyuna,
Sunmi,
maybe some of the Mamamoo girls. Obviously, IU's in a category of her own, and I think Taeyeon's probably like in a category of her own as well. And I would say Hwasa. Those are like the big 3, right? Chung Ha's still in like the top 5. It's just like I don't think this album put her like in like the top 3, top 2 discussion, right? And that's the little unfortunate thing because people like her, right? People love Chung Ha. She's great, right? But at the same time, it just feels like mainstream popularity in Korea is just not there yet. Where like the average person on the street knows, oh, that's Chung Ha, right? She's on that show, or like she's the girl. Like everyone just knows. 열두시, right? Because it's like her most famous
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I don't think people in Korea know Chung Ha the person, which I think she has, which is the struggle for her right now going forward.
Yeah, that's a really good point you make, because just the idea of what she did in 2019, excuse me, and just how popular she got musically, and how she essentially grabbed the global audience. But then within Korean culture and Korean entertainment, you have to be a little bit more than just your music side to really capture like the country as like the nation's soloist. So like IU is a really good example where she could do everything, but at the same time, like she is such a household name with just the population and people. So I would have to agree with kind of everything you said about Chung Ha. Like it's not that I'm worried about the direction she's going to. It's just like what is next is more of a question that doesn't feel like there's any answer right now.
The other issue is like, all right, so she's from MNH, right? They basically have her and Bandit, right? And let's be real, Bandit's not like they're. I don't even think you can consider them mid tier at this point yet, right? So she's pretty much like carrying this company. So the amount of pressure under her is ridiculous, right? So it's like, how do we temper expectations, but at the same point realizing like, yeah, she's like a top soloist, but she just doesn't have the numbers, right? So it's a weird balancing act with her.
Yeah. Koala, what do you think about Chung Ha's direction and just the idea of having to balance and like carry a company by yourself?
I mean, we have many examples for artists who need to carry their company. They're like, I think for soloists, also like many soloists are doing that. And she has already like that attention from IOI, so pre her soloist debut. So she has a little bit easier, but it's still kind of hard for her to like do it on her own. And I don't think whether what was the name? MNH? MHN?
MNH.
MNH, that's the name. Is doing the right thing with this direction, because of course she is popular right now, but this won't like go on for another, I don't know, 5 years, 7 years. And we've seen that this full album, especially because it's a full album, it did not sell as well as I would have expected, because I generally also thought that she would sell more because she's so present in like the global K-pop industry. It's just a struggle. So I think they need to like think of a solution for this.
So here's another thing I was just thinking about, right? There's this like tier where you're popular, but you're not popular enough to do a solo concert. That's like where she's stuck in, right? Because like she's at the level where like she's super popular. She could headline most events or something, right? But it's not like you can do a global Chung Ha tour unless it's smaller venues. So that's a bit of like, how do you figure that out? Because her company's so small, it's not like they can couple her with anyone, right? Because adding Chung Ha plus Bandit doesn't really do all that much for you. So it's like, how do we increase profitability without having so much to work with? So that's really what MNH has to ask themselves.
Yeah, I think they were really banking on Chung Ha taking that next step into like going to that level of like an IU or Sunny where she can be that hard carry soloist, and it kind of just didn't happen with like the way that last year turned out. So
for sure, yeah. It's like it's something like not only her but like everyone's growth for besides like the big hit artists. Let's
big hit and YG. Can I throw YG too in there?
Okay, I see you. Blackpink, yes.
Oh, let's go. Blackpink, Treasure, Icon. Yeah, they're all doing things. So I guess before we're wrapping up Chung Ha's little section here, Doug, what are your? So I know you mentioned Warren a little bit here. I'll give you the last like take on Warren. Why do you think it is that Warren made this essentially like confused shift of his fandom towards Chung Ha?
I think about this myself, right? The X song, right? If you want to be a sad boy or sad girl, I get it, right? It's like, it's something different. It's very different than the general Chung Ha stuff. So I can see why he won, or not even just him, why someone might like that song a lot. But this bicycle song, it just felt like me. Number one, it didn't feel super Chung Ha. Like, I felt like a song Chung Ha could do, but it didn't feel like Chung Ha, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And number two, it just felt like a lot of people could have done this bicycle song, right? And that's my like catching point, because like, why out of this song? Because I feel like there's a lot of songs like this song. Why is this one like the banger, right? That's what I just don't understand.
Yeah, it is curious, like considering when she released all the songs together, you listen to some of the other tracks, especially the pre-releases, why those weren't selected as like the main song for this album.
Yeah, because I feel like, all right, so Stay Tonight, Dream of You, and Play, I think all could have been better solo tracks. Out of those two specifically, Stay Tonight or Dream of You, if she just wanted to hit the Western market, just do Dream of You and actually give it a music video, and I think it would have popped off.
Yeah,
because that could have been on like U.S. radio, that kind of song.
Yeah,
and I think it would have done actually well.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see where Chung Ha goes from here. I mean, definitely we're not concerned about her direction. It's just the idea that this may not have pushed her into that top tier.
Yeah, I think that's the unfortunate thing, because they've been building the hype for like an entire year.
Yeah. Kwon, any final thoughts on Chung Ha and her song?
No final thoughts on the big chungus.
Big chungus.
All right, so let's move on to Soyu X Eyes One featuring PH1. It's the Pepsi song. That's what I will refer to as.
Oh my god.
All right, so you guys talked about like a lot of things on the show. I think still like one of the most glaring like comments and like opinions is like Warren's affinity for the past two songs.
So confused.
So I do want to set it up where Eyes One is near the end of their contract as a group.
True.
But yes, the past two songs have essentially been promotional songs for other products.
True. Yes.
What does this mean as far as their ability to be paired and marketed with products? And what is the end game if perhaps Eyes One lives on past April?
These are some interesting questions, Crispy. I like them. So I had thought about this, right? I have been thinking, I have this theory, right, where there's a certain point in K-pop you could be too big to be approachable. So this is a big brain, Doug, multiple brainful theory, right? Top tier groups like a Red Velvet, a Twice, a Blackpink are so popular and demand so much, like you got to pay them a lot to be in your thing, right? So it's a struggle for promotional people to get them on their products because their companies are so big. Eyes One, because they're connected to CJ, who's pretty much knows everyone, and because they're popular but not god tier popularity, are approachable by these advertisers. So they're the first level of group that can get these kind of things. Does that make sense?
No, that was good. I was waiting for more.
Right? Like,
yeah.
It kind of makes sense. Like, you know how like it's like there's no way you're just gonna pull a Twice kid and put them on this type of song, right? It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But from Eyes One and down, in terms of girl groups, you could start putting them in things, and that's also why I believe that you see some of the Eyes One kids on variety shows a lot, or you see like another group that's in this level is like Mamamoo or like Oh My Girl. That's why you see those kids on tons of variety shows and not the top tier girl groups members on those shows.
Yeah, you're right, because there's that level just below the S tier of girl groups and just idols in general, where you can not manipulate, but you can use different idols in different avenues to be very profitable because they have a recognizable face, and there's still kind of that brand loyalty and brand recognition to wherever they came from. So I think you made a really good point in comparing Mamamoo and Oh My Girl with Eyes One. But I think with Eyes One, they just have that built-in, I guess, cultural audience, or just like cultural awareness to like how they were put together, and like how this fandom like pushes them. Like
the voting scandal kind of helped them out if we think about it, right? It increased their sales, which you would think like is the opposite thing, but it actually was good for them. And it feels like because they're inherently a produced group, and it's essentially like people have grown up with these kids, they feel like a fondness to them. And like, I don't know, like a kid like Jang Won-young, the center of Eyes One, most of Korea knows who she is, right? But at the same time, it's like she's a Starship kid, right? Which is at that approachable level. So that's why it's like a double positive for her to get on things.
Yeah. Koala. So Doug's talking about approachable idols as far as marketability and being able to be put on products, variety, and just ways that entertainment can be profitable for a person in the public eye. What do you feel like is the similar, I guess, the corollary to like male idols, or do you feel like this is only specifically to like female idols or like this group in general?
Wait, I don't think it's like that present for male idols. I could be wrong, because if I follow like a ton of like magazines and like different brands and shit, and I always see BTS, and they are everywhere. And it doesn't seem like they are exclusively like only for one brand or two per year, but I actually see them a lot. And I don't think this whole thing actually really exists for boy groups, because if we take, I don't know, Stray Kids, for example, I would say I see BTS way more often than Stray Kids on anything.
I kind of agree with what she's saying. Like, I think the only thing with BTS is you don't see them in like variety shows that's not of their own, right? But I think with even girl groups, it's like a lot of these top groups will get a lot of space on advertisement and stuff, but it's like the TV presence is lacking. But with boy groups, like 17's on so much stuff still, right? Even though they're like top 3 boy group. So I think, and I also think with guy groups, because the sales are so much bigger, you can have guy groups from lower groups still be popular, like Chaonu from Astro. Like, let's be honest, Astro's not the most popular group in the world, but Chaonu's on literally everything, right? And then same thing with like the SF9 boys, Rowan and Chani. They're on so many things, even though their group doesn't do that well. But you won't see that with a girl group.
Yeah, no, there's a really interesting separation about like how boy groups are received and how girl groups are received. But yeah, it does really put IZ*ONE in an interesting spot, considering their influence and impact on the industry, but also like where they are today and where they're going to be in a few months.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. The longer we go, the more likely it is they're gonna disband, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like if we were going to get a renewal, like breaking news thing, it would have already happened. I've like
aren't like sorry.
No, keep going, Koala.
Unlike WizOne's, like the last shot is their next online concert.
That's something I propose. Like, what if they dropped the reviews during the concert? Like, that'd be kind of cool. I honestly think though that although these produced groups generally don't do that well after they break up, right? The companies just feel like, you know, they're inherently going to feel like, oh, once we get Wonyoung and Yujin back, let's pop off, right? Even though it's like, it's probably not going to be to their expectations, but they rather have more creative control just because of how the money gets split up currently.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's, and then everything's driven by money, right? And profit.
For sure.
So kind of putting a bow on the IZ*ONE song. I know we're calling it the IZ*ONE song, even though like there's like 2 other features on it. But
let's talk about this Pepsi song.
This Pepsi song. But well, let's put a bow on this topic, because I do have an idea of. You said something interesting about K-pop groups because of the pandemic this past year in 2020, and how a lot of the smaller groups and mid-tier groups are probably going to suffer, or at least feel the pressures of not being able to tour, not being able to make money. Do you feel like because there are a large number of kids from those companies that they would be more incentivized to keep them as a group because they are so profitable already?
So I don't see it. Well, the way I really see it is that you keep them together. Well, specific kids you keep together because there's no real clear path for them once you break up the group. So an example of this is like Minju, right? What is she going to do at her company once it's over? Because I don't think she has enough. Like, maybe she'll do some MC stuff. I personally don't think she's going to be a career idol. Or like someone like Haewon, what do you do with her? Or like Yena. Yeah, she's in Yehua, but it's like, isn't it? A lot of people feel like it's too late to add her to Everglow. So just maintaining this IZ*ONE thing, even if it's not all the members, sometimes just feels like the better answer. So that's how I kind of feel about it.
Yeah, and that's like the big hope for like being a WizOne, and just like hoping that your group sticks together. And I mean, they got something going, so who knows?
It's just kind of a shame to disband like the second best selling girl group of
yeah,
the year, right? It just feels wrong to do that.
It's rough. I know, Koala, we talked about girl groups, and this is your specialty. So do you have any closing thoughts?
Oh God. No.
Any thoughts about PH1's rap section?
All right. I said good on the show. It's not actually that good. I want to re-listen to it. Awkward, right?
Yeah.
It's awkward. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree on that one. Like, I just, it didn't fit. It just didn't work for me. But
They really could have just done So You and I's one, right? And they could have picked Yenna, and then she could have just done the rap section.
Yeah.
They could have wrote something up for her, right?
Yeah. Well. All right. Well, that wraps up our conversation on the Pepsi song. So let's leave it there. Moving on to Spice King, the Soju chart. This week is Dreamcatcher at 1 with Odd Eye, CIX at 2 with Cinema, and Chung Ha's Bicycle at 3. All right. So we have Doug here. Doug is a Dreamcatcher stan, I would say.
Yep.
So, Doug, Odd Eye has 2 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Give me your best campaign pitch why it should be 3 wins and move on to the Hall Spice.
All right, I'm going to let you finish, but I don't think it's going to win. Okay. So, there's a reason, though, right? If we think about it, it's picking up its second win in week 3 because it did not win its first week, right?
Oh.
So
right.
if we think about the listener fatigue segment, because you got to remember that Chung Ha's X won it when Dreamcatcher had it like the first week, because I think both those songs. Oh no, I think Chung Ha's X came out, it won, and then the second week it won again, but that's when the Dreamcatcher song came out. So if we're going to have Dreamcatcher enter Hall of Spice, it needs to win on its 4th week, right?
Yeah.
That just seems kind of
I don't think it's happening.
Right, you're right.
That's the problem. Like I'm kind of doing the Odd Eye campaign for the memes.
Yeah.
But I like unless Shiny shits the bed, like
Oh yeah,
like,
that's gonna.
But I don't. Anita really likes SM boy groups, so
yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, she's gonna fight for that one, I think.
Here's the thing, right? It's like if Anita and I are gonna cancel each other out with Shiny and Dreamcatcher, right? Most likely. Warren does not like the Dreamcatcher song, so he will most likely put the Shiny song higher. So probability-wise, it's probably Shiny. But who knows? This Monster X IM song might be fire that comes out on Friday, right?
That's right. Gosh. Yeah.
Or maybe Warren loves this Kang Daniel Paranoia song, right? Like
This is deja vu. Just like when X was on their its second win and the third win was expected by everyone, but
Nope. No, flipped immediately.
it just did not happen.
This is so difficult to get.
It's so hard. Well, it's also
So hard.
timing, right? Because I think when BTS came out, it was I wouldn't say it was at a dead period, but I don't think there was very much competition for that position at that point. I mean, I could be wrong. I have to go back and listen to it, but I do remember when Twice came out, it was pretty much just like a Twice train to the finish.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious. I remember that one was.
Yeah.
And I just remember because of Warren's reaction to Dynamite, it was like almost assured that it was going to sweep 3 weeks.
Yeah.
This Odd Eye, though, here's the thing, though. All the other songs on this list, I don't see Cinema rising above Odd Eye, nor do I see Bicycle rising above Odd Eye just because of the way that Anita and I feel about the song. So it's not out of the question. If the Shiny song and the IM song fall flat, like it can win, though. But it's
I think
just
there will be a lot of ties.
yeah, I think so
Oh,
too.
it's gonna be super spicy. Excellent.
I think
there will be a lot of
there's gonna be
ties.
like 5 songs within 2 points of each other.
Yeah.
Or something.
Oh man. Oh
Yeah.
gosh. Oh man. Okay. Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting the next couple of weeks, considering it's been slow the past 2 weeks or so.
For
So
sure.
it'll be a nice injection of new music into.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in the next weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that's it for our Spice chart conversation. Any closing thoughts, Doug? On well, let me ask you this: when you guys developed the Soju chart and Spice King, I guess what were the initial, I guess, like planning stages of like how you wanted this to turn out?
Okay, so we were replacing Certified Spicy, right? I think that we felt that the bar to get Certified Spicy was too high to get all three of us to like a song a lot. I think that was the main reason why we decided to do Spice King. And then I guess we just felt like having the Soju chart would allow us to showcase 3 songs a week, and it would add for more banter, because it's more banter than to just say, oh, this song should have, like, you, the 3 of you should have liked this song, right?
Right.
That's a hard argument to say to someone who's already decided they like a song or not. And it gave us too much agency individually, because if one person doesn't like the song, it's not getting it, right? Regardless of how much the other 2 people like it. So that's why we felt that the Soju chart, it'll give us like the average, right? Yeah. Even though we've learned over time that one person can hold it hostage. So, so that's the problem. But what are we gonna do, right?
Yeah. Well, the chaos makes for great conversation. I feel true. The past
it had so much
weeks,
banter.
Oh yeah, it's been really good. And yeah, like just including. I do feel like there's a more inclusionary like sense when you listen to it, because it does like mirror a music show, and it does give the audience, and especially people on Discord, like the ability to have a say in how things go, whether that's through our Herald's homies, join us on Patreon, or even like the song poll, right? Where it's like sometimes you guys reference the song poll as like your deciding factor for a lot of things. So
I look at it, as much as people don't think I do, I really like take a look at it and see what the general opinion is before I form my own.
Yeah, and I do think that it is important to at least like, give yourself the largest breadth of information of like how to determine your favorite songs. Koala, any thoughts about this week and kind of moving forward?
I'm just really excited about next week. Shall I start?
All right.
It's gotta be good, right? Like
it's gotta be good.
It's gotta be good.
Like I can't imagine it being bad, but
I agree.
I mean, things have happened in the past, so we'll have to wait and see.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, that puts a bow on this week on the Spice King Soju chart. Please let us know what you think, everyone. Doug is going all out today, and this is awesome. So let him know on Discord and in the comments. All right. So we're moving on to State of the Nation. This is the balance game that they played on the show. We have all of them listed here. We're not going to go through every single one of them because they did a really good job on the show. A lot of interesting responses and reactions. Of course, Warren, being the contrarian, he has had a lot of differing opinions on certain ones. But I'll ask Koala, which one was your most memorable or favorite balancing game comparison?
The one with the search history. Warren was very sus.
He's so sus, right?
Yeah, that was super hard.
It was so sus.
It's like, all right, let's be real. Everyone got some weird things in their search history. I am not going to shame anyone on their preferences in life, right? It is what it is. As long as it is legal, do what you want in your own house, right? Now the thing is, it's like, now I preface that in your own house, right? So making your search history public is not in your own house, right?
Yeah.
That being said, it's like $1 billion. Not $1 million, $1 billion. Like, that is beyond even life-changing money. That's like 10 generations, 20 generations from now money.
You could buy a new life with $1 billion.
Yeah. I'm like, release the search history. I'm going to move somewhere so no one knows who I am. So I'm not the search history guy. And then we're going to chill, right? Like,
Gucci.
The fact that Warren wouldn't release it for $1 billion, like, what is in his search history, right? Like,
yeah, that was rough. Well, like, so at first he hesitated. And then he reconsidered it, and then he still said no.
So that's even weirder.
Yeah,
right?
So it makes you think, like, what the hell?
What is he looking up?
Like waiting.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And we're not gonna repeat exactly the phrasing he chose on the main show, but I mean, I don't think that would be the worst of search history things to.
It's like, how weird could it be? If it's not, if you ain't hiding anything illegal, how weird could it be? Like what? Who cares if Warren likes grandmas or something, right? Like,
yeah, everyone's got a thing.
Like, how weird could it be? Like, I really, like, $1 billion. I could be convinced to do so many things, right? Like,
so many things. 100%. Oh,
I don't know. That just seems wrong.
oh man.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Bouncy versus Buenos Aires, which is a worse song.
Oh, worst song? Buenos Aires. 100%.
Right? Like,
Buenos Aires is so bad.
it's so bad. Okay. With a song that's that bad, I know the Akimoto guy who's the AKB head dude wrote it. Like, what was he smoking then, right? Like,
it was not good.
it's sort of like Rain's Gang, right? Whereas
Oh
a
my
song
God.
that's so bad, but it's like a meme.
Yeah.
It points to me that people like that who make those decisions just have a lot of yes men around them who are boosting their egos.
Yeah.
Because a real homie would be like, bro, this ain't it. But their people are like, nah, this is it, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
When I thought of this, I also considered to not choose Buenos Aires, but Vampire. Would that
Me too.
be a different choice for you, Doug? Or
Nah, Buenos Aires is still worse. I think I find the novelty factor of Vampire the misfitting fake teeth.
the teeth?
The
Oh.
teeth are so they're so funny. Like, some kids look like they got way too many teeth in that music video.
Yeah. Man. Oh man. Gosh. I can't think of one redeeming factor of Buenos Aires. Honestly.
No, there is none.
Yeah.
There really isn't.
Oh, gosh. Doug, any other standouts for you?
Let's see. Okay. Are we all on Serial first team?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Okay, all right, we can pass that one up then.
Yeah,
'cause,
we're
like,
not heathens over here.
No,
Oh my
we're
God.
not cultural barbarians, as I said. How about this one? Let's see. The 5 Warrens versus a 5-year-old Warren, right?
Oh my God.
Okay.
That's kind of contentious, right?
Yeah. That was well. I don't want to say Warren feels very highly of himself to want 5 versions of his adult self, but that's a lot. First
Hey,
of
that's
all.
5 search histories then.
Wait, that makes it worse because isn't that $5 billion?
That's $5 billion, and he'd still say
But he
no.
would say no.
He'd say no
I don't
5
understand.
times. 5 versions
I don't
of
understand
himself.
that. Like, I still don't.
Yeah.
But
Man.
here's the thing. It's like 5 Warrens. It's like 5 times the troll, right? Like, we love Warren. He's great. But
Yeah.
like 5 of him might be too much. Just having a pipsqueak Warren around, it's like, how bad could that be? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure he was a goody two shoes growing up. So like,
Yeah.
it can't be bad.
Didn't he say it also on the show that he'd want to relive his life differently from that point? So you would also
Yeah.
know like your life ahead of time, I guess.
Yeah, he was kind of like, he and I differed on a lot of these where he said he would rather lose vision than hearing. I think that's like, maybe we should talk about that one because I still don't understand why you would choose one over the other in that one.
So which one did you choose, Doug?
I would rather lose hearing than losing sight.
I was gonna say, and what was your reasoning?
My reasoning is that as humans, like, sight is, I think, the most important sense, because it's like, sight is how we interpret the world essentially, right? Because we're very visual creatures. To lose that, like, I understand that, yeah, it'd be like, you can live without having sight because a lot of people do, who unfortunately have lost their vision. But at the same time, it's like, I just can't imagine not being able to see things. Really, I really can't.
Yeah, and then I think it. Well, I also think Warren's explanation made sense because he is inclined to music and just his experience with like musical storytelling and then music over the course of his life, right? But then it didn't really go any further than I just want to enjoy something.
It's also like, you lose subtitles, right?
Yeah.
You have to only listen to things in languages you know, right? I also feel like if you lose vision, you're way more dependent on others too than if you lose hearing.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, because I don't want to like burden, like, because if I don't have vision, like, I need to be like driven around to places or things like that, right? Like, I can't do it by myself.
Yeah.
So that was another one of my reasons there. But
Koala, which
Koala.
one? Yeah.
Oh God.
Koala, see-through shirt or see-through pants?
Oh my God.
Play the game. Answer this.
Let's preface it. You're in your underwear though, right? Let's preface it. You can wear a bra and your pants, whatever you want to wear on the bottom. It's up to you. What's worse?
Bro, the see-through pants are worse. I would never wear like JYP style plastic see-through pants.
Why not?
Yeah, I'm on
Big eggplant energy, Koala. Come on.
I'm with Doug on this. I think those pants are fire.
Right?
His underwear was
okay.
really sus though.
Sus, right?
When you pointed it out, I was like, huh.
Well, JYP is kind of sus though. It's like you can choose what kind of underwear you're wearing. Like you don't have to wear like JYP underwear.
But the more I looked at it, the weirder it got. I was just really staring at it. I was like,
song, right? Like
Yeah.
I was so confused.
I looked. Okay. Why am I staring at this picture still? Right, but I'm staring at the picture right now. It has to be a thong. What he's wearing. There's no way. They sell underwear like that, like briefs or whatever, tighty whities.
But it's also the angle, so it could be like up tighter than.
Let's just put it this way: from his belt down, there's nothing covering any thigh. No thigh coverage. I don't know what is going on there.
Oh my god.
JYP's just that kind of person, you know. Just,
He's a strange guy. That's why we like him, though.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Koala. Any other favorites from the show?
No, but I generally really enjoyed this section.
Yeah. What do you think about
That
this
was
section
fun.
moving forward?
So, I know we've been doing weird things in State of the Nation just because we like to have banter these days
Yeah.
because it's more fun to do that. And I think everyone's been liking that. I was afraid of the balance game a little because you run the risk of making it too broad because we're covering 16 topics instead of one. So that's something we're going to evaluate internally is if we like doing this, or would you rather us do like a tier list or, you know, something more focused, because the last one was like the worst travel experiences, but at least they're all linked by the fact that they're travel experiences.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll have to think about it, but I
Nice.
think it went pretty well.
Yeah, no, this one's really fun. And it also gives us a chance to talk about it ahead of time, which I think was really helpful to get like our input and like just to be part of this conversation, because not that like we need to like be spoiled or like have this information ahead of time, but knowing that a lot of the community members had say in like your choices or of which ones to categorize. Yeah, I think it just means a lot to like be engaged that way. So definitely keep it up, man.
I don't think about that, but that is a very good point.
All right, well, thanks, Doug, for doing the balancing game. Shout out to Pris, because she's the one that mentioned it first.
Yeah, it's very popular in Korea right now too.
Yeah.
It's like a big thing.
Yeah, Korea, they do weird things on Variety.
They do.
Just all the games. All right, so that was the balancing game. Check us out on the Discord for more balancing game conversation. I think we're still talking about balancing game stuff in SojuTalk Talk, so head over there if there's anything interesting that you guys want to compare or any opinions you guys want to share about your choices. All right, so moving on to, I would say like the best section now. What do you think, Cole? Yeah. So on last week's episode, we did have Warren. Oh, I had Warren on a one-on-one interview.
Sad.
Well, it was a timing thing, Koala. But we kind of dug deeper and talked about, you know, some introspective things about life, K-pop, friendship. This section is Doug Talk, and I wouldn't say it's going to be as deep or introspective, but we're going to get to know Doug just a little bit more. So, Doug, I'd like to lead off by saying, how have you been over the past year during the pandemic?
So here's the thing, right? Pandemic, stuck at home particularly a lot. You got a lot to think about, right? I feel like I've been asking more questions than finding answers, right? Like, you know, like I feel like, all right, we're gonna be stuck all the time. I love being home. It's great, right? We get to hang out, do stuff. At the same time, I feel like I think more recently, because we've been in lockdown for like about a year now. It's like I really realized like I lost like a year of my life doing nothing, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yes, the existential
Yeah.
dread is heavy.
Yeah, I've been getting some existential dread. Now I have like, I would say the pandemic's been difficult on like a mental sense, particularly for a lot of people, including myself. It's like you're stuck here, you're like unsure of yourself, and because you can't go anywhere, you can't like really like figure out things other than being trapped in your house a lot, right? So it's but overall though, not too bad. right?
Yeah.
It's fun being home, but at the same time, it's like kind of want to get my life going still, you know? Like,
Yeah.
kind of want to go do things.
Want to just like see the world, get outside.
Yeah.
It's rough. But I will say, just like having the show and having the community has been a really big help to myself
I
personally.
agree.
Yes.
And like, not to say that there's two different Dougs, but like the guy on the show is a very welcoming, warm, and like a stabilizing figure, I would say, for a lot of listeners. Like, I know I'm speaking for like everyone right now, but to me personally, like it is really nice to have that sense of routine that you bring and Warren and Anita every week. So I do want to thank you for that.
Yeah, I feel like on the Discord, I'm way more chaotic and just troll a lot.
Really? What do you mean? No idea. Oh man. Kamala, what? So how do you feel about the pandemic as well, and how do you feel that SojuTalk and Doug and just like knowing him this past year, how has that changed or helped you?
Oh, I've been like lurking before the pandemic, and the pandemic like actually brought me like closer to the whole community because I had nothing to do at all, staying all at home. So I just engaged more. And I mean, in Germany, it was not as bad as in the States because we had like a 3-4 month time window where I was able to meet friends and do shit. But it, like the beginning still was like boring as hell. Now I'm stuck at home again. It's just really exhausting. I don't know how staying at home can be so exhausting, but it just is nowadays. I'm so sick of it, and I actually just want to go out again and do stuff and even go to school. Like, okay, please just let me do it. I don't want to be at home anymore. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do at home, right? Like when you don't have a choice. It's like it's nice to be like, oh, I'm a homebody. I like to be at home, but also I have to go to school or I have to go to work or I have to like live my life like 4 to 5 days out of the week. And like my own time is my time at home. But when you're stuck at home all the time because you don't have a choice, just, I mean, like Doug said, it's mentally draining and it does wear on people. But yeah,
For sure.
like,
Capping is a real thing.
right. Just, it's rough. But again, like happy to have everyone here and happy to like get into like old interests that I've had over the years. So I think I showed you one time on voice chat my Pokemon card collection. I actually had organized it and like bought brand new like sleeves and cases for it.
Oh,
So it's like super like fancy and clean now. And I looked up prices for a bunch of cards. Let's just say like it's only going up. And I got a good,
Because
yeah,
we got a hype right now for Pokemon cards.
yeah, it's wild. But yeah, so like collecting things and like old collectibles have always been like part of my life, and it's just nice to like revisit those things because we have so much time during a pandemic. Doug, what are some things that you've collected over your time and like history as a person?
collected many a thing. There's like, let's start off. There's like, I'm gonna preface this by saying only collect things if you have expendable income. Do not waste the money you need on real life things on collections because it's not worth it, right? Take care of yourself before you can buy things, right? That's the main thing I want to say. That being said, I have collected many a thing since I was brought into the world many a year ago.
Yes.
I've collected a lot of different cards, right? Baseball cards, Pokemon cards. I even during the pandemic, I started a Michigan rookie football card collection, but they all had to be autographed.
What?
I dumped too much money into that.
Damn.
It's kind of legit though, and I got like it's not signed, but I have a Tom Brady rookie card. It's ancient, right? Like, and then once I was younger, a little bit older, I mean, I collected wrestlers because I was big into WWF in the 90s. You know, a lot of 90s kids were really into that because I was really cool. And then, okay, I think the biggest collection, though, is definitely the K-pop album collection, right? I think I've spent the most money on that. I want to say, though, with all collections, buyer's regret is definitely a thing, right? Like, there is a thing called like a collector's itch where you're like, you see this thing online. You're like, I need this so badly, right? And you're like, I'm searching for it. I'm hunting for it. The thrill of the hunt. And then once you get it, sometimes you're like, 6 months later, you're like, I really didn't need this, right? And now you're just looking at it. To be honest, if I wanted to like boil down my K-pop album collection, I could probably get rid of half of these. Like, I'm gonna be really honest about this. On the brighter side of things, at least I can say that I helped support the artists that I liked, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's just so many albums in here, and it's like, was it worth? I don't know.
I mean, you make a good point about supporting the artists, right? Because that's like
Yeah.
one way we can directly support them and hopefully keep them afloat.
But the thing is, that's kind of a crap justification, right? Like, it really
I
is.
mean,
It really is, though.
I mean, yes.
So you proposed to me we're gonna talk about collectibles. So I looked up like the psychology behind why you want to collect things,
Yeah.
right? Because I'm interested to know why I want to collect things. It seems like a lot of it has to do with like physically manifesting memories of certain times in your life. That's like the main driving factor. I kind of agree with that. At the same time, I feel like if you have expendable income and you like to collect, it's like a double negative because then you're just gonna buy things you don't need, right? It is what it is, though. Right? Like, the thing is, all right. So things have monetary value. Like an album's gonna cost you X amount each time. But at the end of the day, things like K-pop albums do not appreciate value at all, right? Like,
Right.
photo cards might appreciate value, but the albums themselves, they print so many of them that it's not going to be worth more now. Like, I have like the first Girls' Generation album. It's still the same price that I bought it at, right? Like 10, 12 years ago.
The only albums I know which like rose in price were the NCT albums, but now they are reprinting them. So the price for those
special
would go
edition
down.
ones or limited ones, but like a base album, it does not appreciate in value. So if you're gonna buy it, you literally have to buy it because you want it, right? I'm kind of weaning off collecting albums, K-pop albums. I keep saying this, right?
And yet,
keep buying. Honestly though, I really feel like once IZ*ONE ends, let's assume that they do end in a couple months, I don't think I'm going to buy albums other than like an IU album whenever she releases one. Like, I really don't think I will. Because I'm moving on to new things now, right?
Mhm.
yes, these things.
I've been collecting the vinyls lately. That's been kind of cool, and I like that because it's a lot more slow pace, so I don't have to feel like the need to buy them. But the problem lately has been this anime thing, right, Crispy?
Yeah, let's jump into it. So, well, let me set it up. So, over the past like 2 weeks, Doug has shared with us his growing and now topped off experience with anime. I think he's getting to that point where it's like, oh, this guy's into it.
It's fun.
Doug, so with anime, aside from watching and reading manga, there comes collectibles and things that you can support and supplant your need and hunger, your desire for something physical in this world. Care to share and explain what you've been doing?
There's an anime figure abyss, right? There's an abyss of anime figures where there's like an unlimited price to them too, right?
Yeah.
And once you're an adult, so if you're a teenager, do not spend a lot of money on this. It's not worth it, right? Go do something better with your money. Buy your parents something, right? With being an adult comes adult hobbies, right? No,
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm a stripper with this hobby or something. That's not hobby meaning adult level money hobbies, right?
Yeah.
That's what I have started to collect these anime figures, and not just like go to Toys R Us and buy a $30 action figure one, but like really high detailed nice ones, right? I guess the plan is to collect the characters that I really connected to through my anime journey, and eventually when I got my own house, got like a nice room, we'll set up some glass cases, put them in it, right? It'll look legit, right? Lock it so that if I eventually have kids, they don't break it. But these are like display pieces. They're not even figures anymore, right?
Yeah.
It just feels cool because I remember growing up going to like comic book stores and things like that back in the day and seeing these figures and thinking they're so cool. And like now that I'm an adult and I can start to collect them, it feels kind of cool, right? Like I guess that's the main motivation. Also, like they just kind of look nice, you know. I'm looking at Saitama right now, One Punch Man. He looking pretty fresh over there, you know.
Yeah. You're saying a lot of like really like interesting, like amazing things. I want to try to piece it together. So I'm going to bring us all the way back to the balancing game, because when you compared vision and hearing, you would want to keep vision. And from our conversations in the past and things that we've talked about, you're a very visual learner.
For sure. 100%.
And then you had talked about collectibles and the psychology, manifesting memories, being nostalgic for something, right? And with that, there's also this idea of, well, not idea, but like a very real physiological response of serotonin, right? When you get something pleasurable, just a serotonin kick, right? Essentially. Well, I guess like, do you feel like you're aware of kind of all the mechanics of your emotional journey of watching an anime, looking for the figures, but then also being transported to that point in your time where you did feel very nostalgic to growing up with this type of culture in your life?
I don't think I'm completely aware, but it's definitely what's taking place. I would say like I feel like now that I have funds where I can spend on things that aren't just like necessities, it really feels like me being like a kid again at the toy store and looking at like the glass cases and being like, I'll eventually get some of these, you know?
Yeah.
And I definitely think that's what's going on. At the same time though, I have to be careful because if I'm not careful, like I'm just gonna buy too many and I don't need enough. So my strategy has been put it in the folder or put it in the cart, put it in there for 3 weeks. If you still want it after then, sure, you know, as long as it's reasonable. Like I ain't gonna, I'm very fiscally responsible. But if it's like if you could afford it and it's fine. If it's still there in like a month or so and you still want it, sure, be my guest, right? As long as you can afford it. Yeah, I guess it's another thing. Like it's not only to be nostalgic, but it's also like it's a good way to express the things that I like to people. Cause like there's the Saitama thing here. My relatives are like, that's pretty cool, right? And I'm explaining it to them, and it's just like a conversation starter too, I think.
Yeah. You always, I mean, a lot of the things that we're interested in are founded in wanting to form connections with people and trying to share that experience with someone else, right?
I was thinking about the anime figures versus the K-pop albums lately, right? The main difference is like this figure, you see it, it's just cool, right? It's a figure, it's detailed well. These albums are just like paper books, right? And like because I'm a visual learner, like the books are cool, but like does anyone really care about the photo books unless they're like really into the game? I don't know. It's just the question I had.
Yeah. And there's also a separation of reality, right? Where if someone sees a K-pop album or like pictures of like cute girls, it's like not to say that there's a cringe factor in it, but it's one of those where it's like, oh, those are real people. It's like, oh, I don't know them in real life.
Oh, that's a good point. I agree with that.
Right. But then something that's animated, something that's fictional, something that's seen potentially more as art, like an art piece, right? Then there is that ability to like form a different type of conversation around why something exists and why you have something.
That's kind of true if you think about it. There's like, all right, both of those things are kind of like, I wouldn't call them hard taboo, but like K-pop and anime are both kind of taboo things still in the American mass media market, right? I would say, especially in American culture. It is less weird to like this cartoon character and get a figure than it is to just like get a giant poster of someone like an idol's face, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because like liking a character versus liking a person who you can't meet are two totally different things, I think.
Right. Koala, you're here. Hello. So you watched anime in the past when you were like much younger, right? How do you feel like your fandom and experience with anime has translated to who you are as a teenager, but then also like your fandoms in other places, specifically K-pop?
So I would say anime was like the first step for me to get more into like internet culture and fandoms in general. Because I don't know when, but like my cousin was the one who like first showed me some totally legal places to watch all these animes.
Totally legal.
Of course. And I know that like for the first half of the year, I was binging everything. An unhealthy amount of binging might have bring problems with it. I don't know yet. But like anime was pretty essential for like my general personality on the internet. Because I don't think I would be that invested in like different social medias and fandoms if it was not for anime. Because now I'm not that big of an anime fan anymore. I watch like the big movies and animes once a time. But now it's obviously more focused on K-pop. But I I can like I can like see for both fandoms how they like I don't know how could you say that how they what is the English word? German brain.
Is it more like the similarities in how you engage?
Yes, right. We have a German word for that. I don't know the English one.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting. Of course, I was a fetus back then. I don't think like my memory is accurate of all the things that have happened, but it's interesting to see now how I like move around in the internet and am a person in this K-pop fandom compared to how I was in the anime fandom.
Yeah. And I think not to diminish like your experiences when you're younger, of course, but like our memories change over time. But what makes those memories stick or at least matter to us most is how we emotionally engage with those memories when they initially happen, but then also like what we remember about them. So like the idea of nostalgia, right? Or the idea of like being transported to the time when you were a kid in a toy store, like what Doug had said. So yeah, there is definitely an emotional component to like our fandoms, whether that's K-pop or anime. I know for me, I wasn't completely aware of this until I was a little bit older, but I I didn't realize the reason why I was such a fan of like anime and then like K-pop later in my life was kind of that desire to wanting to see an Asian person represented anywhere, right?
Ooh,
And
I like that.
yeah, because like you don't think about it when you're younger, and I don't even I would say like I didn't even think about it until like I was in my 20s. That like wow,
That was a time ago.
thank you. That was like just like looking up and seeing like oh that person looks like me, regardless if they're Japanese or Korean. Like I'm Filipino Chinese, but I'm still like an Asian person. Um, so I guess what I wanted to ask like both of you to kind of like put a pin on like the anime like discussion. What do you feel like the impact culturally seeing someone who looks like you means for your desire to want to be part of that culture or part of that fandom, whether it's anime or K-pop?
Such a good question, bro. Damn, I'm impressed. Damn. Uh, you know, before I got into K-pop, right? And before I even went, so I got into K-pop in like seventh grade or something, right? But even through there, it's just like casual, whatever. Before I went to college, I did not have like one Asian friend growing up, and I did not speak any Korean outside of like a couple food names, right? My correlation into connecting with my heritage is directly linked with my involvement with K-pop, right? So for me, this like getting into K-pop and still being into K-pop has been such a journey in learning about my heritage and stuff. And like the fact that I'm like pretty semi-fluent in Korean now is kind of ridiculous to me. If you had told me that when I was like 15, I would say you're completely like lying. Like it was at a certain point I think growing up where I like resented the fact that I was Asian versus being white in my community because like we were so it was such a white area because I was like, oh, I'm the token Asian, right? Like that's just my identity. But it's become something like to be proud of as I've grown older, and it's maybe I'm getting too deep, but like that's like been the story so far, and it's been really cool.
No, go deep. It's also something that's happened, that's shifted in the 2010s, right?
Mm.
Where like the
Yeah.
beginning all people knew was anime and K-pop in the early 2010s. But then as Asian Americans and Asian American cinema grew, people wanted more. People wanted to be represented more. I know there was a really big shift like between 2016, 2017, when movies started to come out with certain, types of people, like different people. I can remember specifically like Crazy Rich Asians or The Farewell. I think that's like 2018. And there was just
When was Train to Busan?
2016, I want to say. Yeah, so like mid 2010s, where there was like kind of an awakening, especially in the US, where it's like, oh, there's a lot of Asian people in America. We make really good things. How come we're not seen more? And especially in the West Coast, where there's just a lot of like there's a higher population of Asian people on the West Coast for obvious reasons, but it's one of those where we didn't really see the agency or power we had over making that shift happen for ourselves. And I feel like for me, it's been a really important and like milestone experience just in my life, accepting and celebrating Asian culture. So when the popularity of K-pop happened in the past 5 or 6 years, it was a really important thing for me to want to be a part of and included in. So I know we're speaking on the side of the United States, Koala, and just how things work in Western media. But I want to get your perspective. And you've told me this in the past, but what is your experience like in your little town in Germany, being an Asian person?
I don't know. I wouldn't say that I have like any Asian friends. It's more like people I know, but we're not friends. And there has never been an Asian kid in my class, if I remember correctly. Yes? I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. So it's been similar to Doug's experience. Just Germany in general is very conservative about some topics, especially like looking at the history and stuff. And like anime and K-pop and the whole fandoms and shit just were a way for me to like experience different culture than what I'm experiencing at home, which is Vietnamese culture, and at school, which is the German culture. And I remember me being like 12, 13, something like that. And I was like really happy when I heard some of my friends were like, oh, I enjoyed that music video of that one artist, because I was really happy that they enjoyed a part of not my culture, but like the whole broad culture, Asian culture, and
People
that they
look
enjoyed
like you,
it.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was just really important that like anime and K-pop also took off. So it was nice to see that other people started to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Even though in my like my general friend group, I don't think any one of them actually enjoy anime, but they don't enjoy K-pop. I know that.
Yeah. And it's these experiences that we internalize, right? I mean, on the surface, like we coexist and we have to adapt to our surroundings and our environment, whether that's like being surrounded by like Europeans and Germans, or like Doug, like growing up in the Midwest and being surrounded by white people.
I'm from Jersey.
Jersey, that's right. I forget you went to school in Michigan.
High school was when we had zero Asian friends, because I went to a really white high school.
Yeah.
Elementary school, though, from 1st to 8th grade, shout out to the Filipinos. They essentially adopted me. Like, I was like a de facto Filipino for a while, bro, because like, that's like the Asian kids to stick together
For sure, man. Oh,
yeah.
Those are, yeah.
Because I went to Catholic school, even though I'm not Catholic, and like a lot of Filipinos are Catholic, so
yeah,
like
for sure.
that's why they were my homies growing up.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, what's up, Doug? You want some pancit? Want some adobo?
Oh, we had TV yesterday, fam.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That was dope. You killed
my
it.
God.
Oh man. Yeah, so I guess like putting a pin on like the rest of like our cultural experiences and everything. I would kind of end on a light like topic. K-dramas.
Oh,
So Doug,
expert in the room. It's not me, but there's another. I'll speak to the ones I've watched, though.
Yeah. Go ahead. Well, what have you enjoyed recently?
All right. For some reason, people on our Discord don't like Itaewon Class as much as me. Like
I like
really
it.
liked it. I thought it was great. The other ones, my other favorite dramas, Hotel de Luna. There's people watching it right now on the Discord. And if you're an IU fan, double positive, right? My favorite like straight up dramatic drama is probably Sky Castle. I thought that was crazy because it really exposes it dramatizes it, but like the cutthroat nature of Korean high school politics and getting your kid into a good school. And a lot of the themes they cover are just extensions of things that have happened in real life, just like they accumulate all the crazy stuff together, right? And then the Reply 1988 drama, I thought that was incredibly good because it's not only like nostalgic for an older time in Korea, but each episode seemed to address like very specific topics, like the protests at the time, or back when it was really taboo to marry someone with the same last name as you, things like that.
Yeah. Koala, have you seen any of those that Doug mentioned, and did you have like the same? Any of those dramas have the same effect on you?
I've watched Itaewon Class and Hotel de Luna. I've not. I think I have watched a different Reply series. I'm not sure though. I think it was a different.
You gotta watch that, fam.
I know, but like I'm watching Penthouse right now, and then yeah, it's the same vibe. So I will watch Sky's Castle afterwards, and yeah, if Sky Castle is about the same as Penthouse, it's really good. It's of course dramatized, but like, and it's nice to see. It's nice to watch something different than the typical melodrama romance.
It's like stuff. no chill at
all. And Crispy, yes. Which dramas have you enjoyed in the past?
All right, so right now we're watching Hotel de Luna together on the server. So Malfiar, one of the mods, organized us together as the drama club, and then he put out a couple polls. We all landed on Hotel de Luna. I'd say like this past 2 weeks of watching it together and then having a discussion about it in chat has been like a really fun like book clubby feel of like how to like experience like these stories and like the shows. I don't who's the lead female? I forget. Someone explain.
I don't know.
Ijiun? I don't know.
Oh,
I think that's her name.
Okay. Yeah, if you have joined us on the watch along, I paused for a second because I remembered her name. Her name's IU.
Oh, that's what it was.
And she's gorgeous and beautiful. And you will get my commentary. I will just say that.
My God.
If you join us on the watch along, you will have amazing commentary.
Here's the thing, like as much as like I'm a fan of IU, the drama's just good, right?
Yeah.
It is.
The best way to describe it, it just feels like Alice in Wonderland going on. Like there's like a entire time, right?
Yeah, that's real good.
I think that's like a really good way to explain it. Like I'm not gonna burn any of the plot, but like it's magical. There's ghosts. There's action sequences. There's flashbacks. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and it's a you're gonna have to suspend a lot of disbelief to watch this one though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know what's gonna carry you is all of her outfits. I think she had 25 or 6 outfits in the first 2 episodes.
The fashion's nuts, and I think this is like peak acting for her, at least at this point in her career. She like acts her butt off the entire series.
Yeah, like she really carries
I'm like
it.
so impressed by her. Like she's obviously a great singer, but like that her acting is actually this good and so captivating. Oh.
Like if you see her behind this like her normal real life IU stuff, she's just kind of quiet and derpy, right? Like she's not like serious at all. And then this acting though, like she has to put on so many different masks to get to the places she's getting in this drama.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really just like it just shines just like how much like the attention is on her, but then at the same time how she like fluidly goes between like the different.
She can handle the pressure for sure.
Yeah. Gosh. Oh, man, IU. Yeah, this turned into IU Simp Session. That's cool. Oh man. Okay, so kind of to put a wrap on everything. I do want to talk about Reply 1988 because I still have not seen that one, but that's one that's interested me for a really long time. And just like everything you said about its historical context of that period in time in Korea, but I also feel like that's indicative of Asian culture in general.
For sure.
And it really just like aligns with the themes of what we've been talking about in our little Doug Talk section. So going off of that, just like the different storytelling mediums, whether it's anime, dramas, or things that we read, how do you feel like it's affected you personally today and kind of moving forward into your cultural identity, Doug?
I think all of these mediums that I watch are good because I get to see situations that I don't get to live in my real life, whether they're realistic or not, right? And what you learn through these characters is whatever choices they make is irrelevant to my own life because I'm not in their shoes, right? But it leaves one thinking, what decision would I make in that point? And I think that's the good thing with storytelling, good storytelling at least, is that you're left thinking like either that was such a good decision, I would have done that, right? Or you're like, man, I can't believe they had those consequences. I definitely wouldn't have done that. And either way, it's stimulating you to think about like your life in perspective of what you're seeing on the screen.
Yeah, really well put, Doug. I mean, it's so complex, right? Just like the different experiences that you may not be able to live for any number of reasons, and yet we are so emotionally attached and connected to good storytelling, as you said. Koala, being the youngest person here in this group, and not to say that these stories will affect you more than Doug or I, but you have yet to live certain periods of your life that are told in these stories. How does this kind of give you a roadmap to just being a better person or making certain choices in your life?
So I don't know whether all of these like plots and storylines will like affect me in a conscious way. I think they will in an unconscious way, so I won't like actively like think about different situations and things that many characters have done, but I think they have a big impact on how I like see the world, because there are like many dark animes, dramas, series, movies, which definitely have made me think a bit more about how I would have maybe done it in their position, even though it's probably very unlikely for me to be in that position. Oh my god, speaking is so hard. I think the best example would be Extracurricular, what we've watched together, Crispy. Because that show in general just showed me a complete different like life, which I could not imagine for myself. And just interesting just the what ifs, because I still have so many years going forward. And I will have to eventually make many opinions, what? My brain. Choices. That's how you say it. Choices. And even though if I will make bad choices in the future, which will be the case for many things, I believe, I will still like have that input of different characters who are completely different from me, on which I can reflect with.
Yeah, really introspective of you, Koala. Wise beyond your years, I'll say. Yeah, so that kind of ends our little Doug talk, like introspection, therapy session, however you want to put it. Just closing thoughts for the show and the week. Just a little check-in, just to see how everyone's doing. What are you guys looking forward to next week, whether that's music, the community, or life? And just how you're feeling after our discussion today.
This was way deeper than our normal content. I need to get through this Fate Zero anime.
Hey,
right?
Yeah.
I've come to a weird realization though. Is that I like the characters more than the plot in the Fate world. So like
the simp energy.
So the main characters from the main realm are like, so this is a prequel, so they're all young, so they're not very present in it, right? It has to do with more like the people before them. Like Saber's there, which is great because I'm a Saber fan, right? But like at the same time, I'm like, oh, like Rin's not really in this, or like Shiro's not really in this. Like it's cool, but like I'm not super engaged. In terms of music though, that Shiny comeback has me really intrigued because I wonder what they're gonna do.
Same, yeah.
Shiny's back.
How about you, Koala?
IU is back.
Oh, they announced that.
Yeah.
She just announced that, bro. I'm so ready.
Yeah,
For
that's
the next weeks.
That's gonna be wild.
It's gonna be massive. It has to be.
It will.
She's gonna
Yes.
destroy everything.
I don't know.
I guess life koala.
I have a lot of stuff to do for school, so not excited, not looking forward to it.
Sorry.
Like in general, I try to distract myself a bit. So upcoming would be the second season of Penthouse, simping on Lisa on the Chinese produce version.
Yoni.
Yes.
And wait, I wanted to say something else. I forgot it. Can't be that. Icon. Yes.
See you.
Icon's back.
Yeah.
Hype for the main kingdom, not the group,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the group kingdom in April. I'm kind of hyped for that. I'm excited.
I'm hyped because we apparently will be getting performances next week already.
And I guess they're just going with 6, like. 'Cause
Yeah,
I feel
they
like
will probably.
They were going to have a 7th group.
Yeah. No soloists, I don't think.
Guess not.
Even though I would have thought that they would add Countdown, but
Yeah.
I'm so hyped for it. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. Again, like I'm not a big boy group fan. Like,
You will watch it.
but I will watch this.
It's gonna be like, take out your popcorn. This is some like.
Yeah,
This is some drama. This is some spicy.
because this is like war in form of performances.
Like, we haven't had competition shows, like a legit one, other than like we don't get produced anymore. So this has to be the
Oh,
replacement for
yeah. This is it. We haven't had anything since over a year.
Island.
Island. That's right. Damn.
And like, Road to Kingdom was already like pretty fun for me, but this is like another level with names like Stray Kids on there.
Right, a lot of good things coming up. Like super excited. Community wise, Doug, our D&D group, I think is starting up again.
Yes, I need to make a new character. Yes.
Oh, your guy's dead. It's okay, but the character you're making is pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for that one.
Oh my god.
I see. Previewing the voice. Got it.
I'll preview.
Oh, I'm here for it. I guess I'll preview it here. My character is essentially modeled after IU from Hotel de Luna.
Oh my god. Oh, that's another level of a sip.
So you're like third, like you're like 5, like S tier tsundere plus like plus you're a sociopath too, right?
Yeah.
Like
I'm a sociopath.
800 years old and god.
Yeah, I'm a lawful evil. I'm a warlock, so I make a pact, you know. Oh man. Yeah. So that's it. Any closing thoughts for just life in general? You guys good?
We chilling.
Yes, I'm good.
Waiting for that stimulus check to hit, so we can control the collect. No, I'm kidding.
Hey man, you guys stimulate the economy somehow.
Hey Joe, where's the check, Joe?
What up?
Just say it. Not a lot of things.
Yeah.
I get it.
All right. Well, on that note, I think that's a good place to end this week. Thank you for listening to the SojuTalk Nation Podcast, episode 6.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify or your preferred podcast platform, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk Kpop Podcast Discord.
This has been the SojuTalk Nation for Koala and Doug. This is Crispy. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.